tuned into the most unpredictable podcast on the World Wide Web.
It's about to shut it.
Say It Loud, hosted by Karyn Elle.
Down. Hey.
Across all major platforms, and you are locked in.
You are locked in.
You know what it is. Pour up a glass of wine, ladies. Let the Henny flow, fellas. And get ready to turn the fuckery up to lit status. It's Karyn Elle live on Say It Loud Radio on your favorite internet platform, streaming live.
It is another episode of Say It Loud, y'all. My kids make fun of me when I say y'all. They're like, you're not even Southern. Why you say y'all? But it just sounds like it all supposed to go together, you know, in my head at least. So far, right? This week on Say It Loud, we are talking to relationship therapist and my homegirl, Catherine from Black Men Cry Too. So I think this is a perfect setup because we gonna get it in. So why don't we start with Catherine? Introduce yourself again, Catherine, to everyone.
Ooh, I feel like I'm Drake with the back-to-back. I'm just excited to step in the hot seat.
You're regular now.
As a refresher, my name is Catherine. You can find me on social at RetroBarbie92, and I am a brand architect, a creative manager, and the founder of at Black Men Cry Too, TOO, which is an invitation for men of color to feel safe to unpack their hurt and share their truth.
I know Catherine's probably sick of me because every time somebody come at me about men, I'm like, y'all need to go read this.
Trust me, I'm not sick of it. I just be saying like, just let me know when you need me to tap in. Let me know when you need me to tap in.
Y'all need to go read this. This is happening somewhere. So I'm a big fan of Black Men Cry Too, and I am here for the support and the love for everything that you do. That's why you here all the time. You my favorite regular guest to have now. And we have our relationship therapist. Do you want to introduce yourself, sir?
Hi, it's hard to follow what Catherine has shared, but my name is Max Stanley Kazo. I am a licensed mental health counselor with a specialization in couples therapy. I am the owner of Therapies for Everyone, counseling right here in Brooklyn, New York, where we serve our people of color. I've specifically worked with Black couples for the past 5 years, and my goal is to rid the Black community of mediocre love while teaching them the skills, mindset, and techniques needed to create and sustain healthy relationships.
Yes, stand up. So I think the fact that you guys are both here together is just blowing me away. So if I'm stumbling, it's because I'm really excited about this topic. I feel like having Black Men Cry Too here, along with a couples therapist, allows us to have some discussion about things that are really happening in the Black and Brown community and areas where we need to tap in. And we're not going to be able to get to everything today, but at least scratch the surface so we could begin having conversations, so that couples can begin having conversations, and that people can start looking at themselves holistically and their health and their therapy with each other. So I'm going to start with you, Mac. Where do we start when we're talking about therapy?
Well, the first thing I would say is that we need to destigmatize the shame that is attached to the term therapy when it comes to the communities of colors. Yes, historically speaking, those within the counseling session, the therapeutic session, has definitely oppressed us Black men, us Black women, and others of color. However, I feel like there has been a shift lately. It's more culturally diverse, and there are a lot of Black male therapists as well as Black female therapists out there that have gone and gotten the necessary knowledge and is now bringing it back to the necessary community. So all we're asking for is give us a chance, engage with us, let us show you how we can help, and eventually we can start removing the stigma and shame attached to the therapeutic process.
Excellent. So, Catherine, I'm going to tap into that similar question for you and say, how does a Black man or a man of color deal with this expectation or these surrounding ideas of therapy, especially as it relates to relationships?
I think the way that Mac answered, like, it's essentially just piggybacking. It's breaking down what was conditioned in a sense within the community, within the culture. It's just not what we're trained to do. It's just not an option for us. It's never been taught to us. So it's sort of like breaking away from that and having people stand up and say this is what they're doing, encourage, speak openly about it. I've heard some Black males in my corner talking about their experience, or just ever so slightly, just it comes up in conversation, like, yeah, in therapy today. And I just sit there and I'm like, oh my God, yes, say it more, say it to all your friends, make all your friends listen to you. And it's to better themselves, and it's to better ourselves when it comes to relationships, ourselves when it comes to dealing with each other platonically, romantically. But we just have to keep encouraging it and showcasing it. And, you know, like with, it's sad to say, but it's almost, you need that representation, especially within Black males, for them to feel like it's okay. So when you hear somebody like a Charlemagne, I know people have their own opinions, but he's open about his experience. He's brought his therapist on. You hear people like LeBron James. I feel like he's spoken about it. Big Sean, like a lot of these
Jay-Z too.
icons. Yeah. With them talking about it encourages our men to be like, well, I'm sitting here talking about I want to be like Jay-Z. Well, Jay-Z's in therapy, so go follow Jay-Z.
Right. So I wanna touch on what happened to me this weekend. And then you guys give me your feedback on the situation as we go into what we're doing. And Catherine was on the tail end of this. So I posted a meme on Instagram. My Instagram be popping, y'all. So I posted a meme on Instagram, and I actually, it was a meme of a mother yelling at her son. And she's telling him, stop crying or I'm going to give you something to cry about. That was the first image. The second part of that image was him now as an adult. And his girlfriend or the woman in his life or whoever was looking at him and saying to him, how come you don't show me any emotion? So I posted this meme because that's what I took from the image. And nobody usually complains about my memes because they know like I'm with the shits and I'm with the fuckery, but I support the men and I'm raising a son. Everybody knows that. And somebody started commenting under my picture and was like, you shouldn't post this. There you go. If you want to piss me off, say, here you go, just like women, because that is not true. I'm not like every other woman. But he was like, y'all women want to change men. And it takes a man to raise a man. And that's why women raise gentlemen. And so my argument was, I'm not trying to teach my son to be a punk and not advocate for himself. However, I do want to be conscious of who I am raising and that he is a human being, right? And he comes with these emotions and he comes with these feelings and he is a person. And it's not just him. I thought about my dad. I thought about my brother. I thought about the other men in my life and the situations that they have been in some cases, very, very heavy, where they have been taught not to express their feelings. Of course. Right? And so that was the basis for the meme. And he went on and on and on until I blocked him, by the way. And he said something like, there you women go. I'm just speaking for Black men. And in my head, I was like, but I took the meme from a Black man. I took the meme from a Black man. I've had since then other men comment and talk about their experiences in raising daughters and therapy. But I really wanted to touch on that subject with both of you guys and your opinions about it, because it seems to be a very big topic as people are still commenting.
Correct. So the minute you described the first part of the meme, I already knew exactly what you were talking about. I had goosebumps, like I had to shake it off. I even closed my eyes for a second just to recenter myself. So there's a lot there. I would love if we had 2 hours, we could really get into it.
Yeah, we could work out a workshop. You know, they got Zoom and stuff these days.
But correct. But I'll quickly say that in the communities of color, we are a direct experience of slaves, right? So this whole idea of discipline all came from the slave mindset, which is why generational trauma is such a big deal because it's passed down and down over and over and over and over again. Also, I would also like to know that the way that society is created, and biologically speaking, men are not equipped to deal with emotions, period. Right? From early on, we're told to be a man, don't cry, man up. When we go to school, it's usually the male that's the biggest and has the most anger that is on top of the food chain, right? So from our teenage years, we're also learning that emotions are not okay. The
Right.
child, the teenager that is showing his emotions, that's being emotionally vulnerable, is the one that is picked on and chastised. So we've learned to have a blank face so that we're not picked on and we can survive. Like males unconsciously are being treated with the mindset of survival of the fittest, right? Also, when you start your career as a man, they want you to be just goal driven, not people driven,
Right.
not emotion driven. Is how can I get to the top of the food chain? And in order to do so, at times you have to remove the emotions out of it and be a different person. Now, when you get into a relationship, it's the complete opposite. She's asking you, how are you feeling? And you're like, I have no idea. The only emotions I know is happy, sadness, and anger.
Right.
But in reality, there's hundreds of emotions. So now you have to start that process, connect with your female partner in order to have a healthy relationship. Quick stats, right? A man spends 2.5 seconds identifying with his emotions before he goes to problem solving. When a woman is talking to a male about her negative feelings, or if you go to your partner and you had a hard day at work, the minute you start saying anything that's a negative emotion, they automatically start trying to solve it because we're uncomfortable with negative emotions because we've never learned that it's okay. We're just supposed to show how happy we are, which is why a lot of men, have so much depression and are
Right.
not addressing it because they can even verbalize it in words. One last thing that I'm gonna add real quick is that in my therapeutic sessions, when I see couples, by the fourth session, I would say 80% of my males will start crying. And that blew my mind. But
Wow.
at the fourth session is when I give them a sheet of emotions, and I'm telling you, hey, tell your partner how you feel or what they did. How did that make you feel? And they're going through that list and they're picking those words that they didn't know was the vocabulary for their emotions. It's like the first time in their life where they put a language to these emotions for the first time ever, and now they're able to express it and they just feel it come out, and that pressure being taken off their shoulders because hey, I have the language to actually tell you how I feel, and I'm doing so. And on the other side, I'm coaching the woman or whoever their partner is to respond to that in a positive way. Not hey, man up, or we gotta figure this out, but normalizing and validating their process and their emotions. So again, there's a lot there. So
Mhm.
I hope I hit most of
No, I
everything
think that's
right then and
great.
there. Yeah.
No, I think you did. I think there's a lot for people to reflect on and think about. And while you were talking, I was thinking about Catherine and the men that she talks to, and I wanted to know, Catherine, do the men that you work with or speak to about their traumas talk about relationships, or whether it be with a partner romantically or just another person in their life, and this experience? Like, is this a trauma?
Yeah, and I'm kind of happy that like Mac went first with his clinical expertise because I'm able to be like, oh yes, let me use your words and piggyback off of that. But it's interesting when you had tagged me in that post, by then his comments were deleted. So I wasn't aware of everything that he had stated. So I'm happy that you had shared that part, because the first thing that jumped out to me was women raised gentlemen. And in my head, I was like, is that a fucking problem? Do we want more people like yourself walking around this world talking this way, behaving in this manner. Like, yes, we want more gentlemen in this world. This is what you should aspire to be.
Right.
Really crazy me for having that thought. And
it was rough. It got kind of brutal for me. I was like, it's like, there you go, changing the narrative. I was like, no, I'm deleting you because like we don't do that here.
Correct. Right. And it just seems like a lot of projecting. And what he more so reminds me of, and it was funny how Mac was stating, like, men have 2.5 seconds to respond to negative feelings. With certain men not being taught different emotions or removal of a parent figure in the household, so not being able to have that balance of two different parentals in the household, specifically having the male in the household, it typically seems like to use a personal experience, I once told someone that I was seeing that I should not have been seeing. I had a situation at work and their response was, well, you know, if you need anything, just call me and I'll beat them up. No, that's not conflict resolution. That's not how we resolve things here. Like, like, and then you can.
That's not what I was asking for.
Like, thanks. A little too extreme for me. Let's come down like here.
Yeah.
Let's start a conversation. Let's start acknowledging what about this interaction I had with my supervisor made me feel a way. Let me process that so I can go back and have that conversation and pinpoint, hey, when you said and did this, it felt like you were discrediting me here, this, that, and the third, and have an open dialogue. They're not taught that. So yes, we are trying to change men. We're trying to change the way that you communicate. We're trying to change the way that you process. We're trying to change the way that you identify. We're trying to change you for the better, so you're not walking around angry and arguing with women on social media about the fact of you being able to be open and expressive with yourself so you can lead a happier, healthier life. Crazy.
Correct. So a great way of counteracting that, because a man moving to problem solving is automatic. So the best way of dealing with that is before you share, you let us know, hey, I just need you to listen to me and not problem solve, right? So when my wife comes to me and she's expressing her emotions, at time I have to stop myself and say, hey, do you need me to listen or do you want me to problem solve? So if you want me to listen, I've removed my phone, I turn off the TV, I turn right to you and not pay attention to you. So a lot of times we just need a prompt.
Where's my button? Where's my horn? Because I think the men and the women need to hear that listen to this show, because I think it's important to say, this is what happened. I need you to listen, or I need you to help. So ladies, like, we need to be verbal in what we're asking. We can't assume everyone thinks like we do, and say, can you listen to what happened today at work, or can you help me with this problem, with a solution? So communicating that. And then I think, gentlemen, I need you guys to listen, to be receptive and say, you know what, I don't always have to fix things. Sometimes I just have to sit here and listen to it. And that's okay too. You might not want to listen to it, but it doesn't necessarily mean mentally that you have to do anything to try and fix it. Right? It just means that mentally in your space, you're just like, okay, I'm going to listen, or I'm going to tune her out. Either one, but you don't have to fix it. You know what I mean? And I think there needs to be a switch that when someone comes to you and kind of almost preface what they need, it's a lot easier to take that on. So here's the thing too with relationships and my show. I'm kind of sick of talking about bad news. And like people being dysfunctional, and like, I know we have it, and I know we have problems, and we're going to get there and we're going to talk to it. But I really wanted to start out from both of you, if you can give some feedback on, like, what do healthy couples do? Let's celebrate the things that we need to do and what we're doing. And then we'll get into the parts where we need to maybe like tweak things. But I really want to celebrate the green lights more than, put up more red lights.
Ask the married man who does this for a living. When you're talking to the bitter single girl.
I'm single too, Catherine. I'm like, I don't know. But I'm taking notes.
So I'm actually conducting a workshop, I believe, in the next few weeks about becoming a masterful couple. So my training is through the government Institute. So they've had 40 years of doing research on relationships. So when I talk of relationships, it's rooted in science. It's not my opinion. I'm talking about facts, things that have been proven, things that have been tested, right? So that's where I operate from. Now, the keys to becoming a masterful couple, it takes 6 hours a week to create a forever after. So there are a number of things that you
A lot of hours.
that you do during a week.
I mean, it's not, but it sounds like it is, right? Because people just think it's supposed to be so natural, you know?
Oh, no.
So in my mind, I'm like, 6 hours of work? No, I do 6 hours of like social, you know, on the phone and doing things I'm probably not supposed to be doing. But when you had to commit to that or you hear a number, automatically it's like, wow, because I thought it just worked by itself.
But when you think about it, you do 40 hours if you're full-time of work for money per week. So how many hours are you putting towards your relationship? Because the relationship still is work regardless at the end of the day.
And it's the one that's going to last the longest.
Exactly. You have to do the heavy lifting.
So it has been shown that choosing your partner is the biggest decision that you're ever going to make in life. Because whoever that is will have a significant impact on whether or not you're happy with life or unhappy with life. So that's a choice that should not be taken lightly. And a relationship is something that should be continuously invested in. So I'll just share with you 3 quick tips, right? Every time you leave and you reunite, you should engage in a 6-second kiss. So if you're going to work before you leave, you should kiss your partner for 6 seconds. And when you come back home, you should kiss your partner again for 6 seconds. That is a way of connecting. It's called the potential kiss. It can lead to many different things, right? A second tip, right? Me too. I take full advantage of it. A second tip would be having the state of the relationship conversation once a week. So every Sunday at 3:00, me and my wife sit together in which we discuss what worked for us this week. How did we feel loved? How did we feel supported? And then for next week, we create tangible things that we can do for one another to better support each other. For example, I'm trying to get to the gym at 5 a.m. every morning. Part of her showing up for me is to ensure that I wake up by 4:30, like whatever it takes. If you got to smack me, if you got to drop water on me, whatever it takes, I need you to ensure that I wake up at 4:30. For her, is the fact that she's now on a meal plan because she's working out. So she wants me to prepare her meals for her because I prepare my meals. So I prepare her meals, I label it, and I put it in the fridge. And before I go to work, I'll bring her first meal. So that's how I show up for her. Tip 3.
Any single man listening that wants to do that, like, again, you can find me on Instagram at RetroBarbie92. I'm just saying.
I think that's wonderful. I'm going to get to number 3, but I just want to go over 1 and 2 really quick so my listeners understand, like, having that conversation once a week is really important, like doing regular check-ins, like how is this working for you? What do you need? And then I liked when you said how we show up for each other, because it doesn't have to only mean like we show up together to hold hands and hug and kiss or have sex. It could be simply, this is what I'm trying to do for myself. How can you help me be better and do this? Right? Like you said, waking me up for the gym, making sure that I'm eating properly, buying my favorite food that, you know, like I like to have that in the house, like just making a conscious effort to do those little things for each other. And then still allowing to be yourselves in that and still having your needs met in that is important. So let's go to number 3.
Yeah. So for number 3, I'll start that with statistics. I love numbers because men lie, women lie, numbers don't, right? So on average, a couple who has a child only spends 10% of their time together. Right? So in reality, you're not really spending that much time together the minute you have a child.
Right.
So it's called a stress reducing conversation. After work, it is recommended that you sit down with your partner where there is a speaker and a listener. The speaker will speak for 10 minutes straight. That's what they tell you about their day, what's going on in their mind, what projects they are working on, and etc. The listener's job is to listen, to ask clarifying questions, and just to be there to listen, right? You're not allowed to problem solve whatsoever. Most males struggle with this. And then you switch. This conversation allows you to connect with your partner a lot deeper, have an understanding of what they're going through, where their mindset is, and it just allows you to share, right? A lot of males fail to realize that a woman needs an emotional connection in order to be intimate with you. So by having
say it again really loud.
a woman needs to feel seen and heard by having an emotional connection prior to being intimate. That's the idea of role play. That's the idea of romance. While a male needs intimacy to feel connected. So the best way to achieve both during that conversation is my wife will either lay on me, sit on me, I'll be rubbing her feet, which allows me the physical touch and the physical intimacy while providing the emotional connection. So those are my 3 cheat codes to sustaining a healthy relationship.
I feel like those are not hard at all.
Very practical.
They seem very practical. I'm going to say that seem very reasonable, but I'm not married, so I don't know, but they seem very reasonable where if you make a conscious effort to prioritize this in your life and in your relationship, then it shouldn't be hard to have the conversations that you need to have and have the space that you need to have to kind of like express yourself and express your emotions. My next question is, how does the baggage that we carry emotionally affect our relationships? Ooh,
Jesus.
That's for you. Catherine. You start first.
I only wanted to speak on that because I do feel like, actually, no, I was going to say, I feel like men do it more with women, but I think it's only because of the fact that at least look, Mac is about to drop some numbers. He about to just go against everything I say, but it seems as though women, and if we're speaking about Black women are now doing the work. We're doing the work to unload our baggage, to make those connections, to break those cycles, to break the generational curses, to release our trauma, identify our trauma. We're doing that work. So now we're releasing these baggage. Mm-hmm. When you are dealing, and I'm speaking from personal experience, so AKA when I in the past was dealing with certain men, what is happening with them not recognizing the fact that what you're speaking about is your trauma. What you're speaking about is your baggage. This pillow talk is you're essentially making this person your therapist. And now you're releasing that energy and dumping that energy and finding a safe space with this person. And now this person is holding on to your energy. My therapist used to make a joke and say, are you billing him this invoice? Because here he comes up again in our time and in our space. And it was when she had said that to me, I was like, hold the fucking phone. I know I don't pay health insurance, so I could be sitting here talking about this fool, and this ain't got nothing to do with me. Oh, no. We got to change this today. And then recognizing it's also becomes a level of codependency mixed with denial on their end. It's like, bro, you cannot use me as your dumping ground. I cannot be your gravesite for all of your emotional baggage. And then you just skip on out of here. And I'm left sitting here like, whew, that was heavy. And here I am thinking we were just going to have a lovely time. But now I'm weighed down by your energy and you get to excel forward. And you don't even realize the detriment and the mess that you left behind here because you feel good about yourself because you replaced your issues in a sense. You got to be heard. But now you're also not doing anything to change that. So you're just undumping, redoing, repeat.
Right.
Dumping, redoing, repeat. And now this person here is like, I don't have an actual degree, a clinical degree or any of that. No. I just have an ear and I thought we were just going to have some dinner. But here we are again and again and again.
And that happens. That's a very real situation. I think that happens to a lot of people, and they don't talk about it. They almost don't talk about it to the point where they just think it's normal. This is normal behaviors,
Or it's
right?
a badge of honor.
Yeah,
Right?
you know what
I
I
was
mean?
13 and had sex with a 20-year-old. I'm
Right.
the man. But in reality, brother, you were raped.
Trauma. Right.
Right.
I'm living with these traumas. Like I said, with women cursing out their sons. And I'm like, I understand you have to discipline him. I had this conversation again with another person about the same meme. I understand you have to discipline your son. I'm also a single mom. My son has a dad, but like he don't live with us, right? So I'm the main caretaker. I do have to discipline my son, right? But I also have to understand again that he's still human and have respect. I see kids get cursed. I see boys get cursed out by their mom, like it's their boy, like it's her boyfriend. And then he carries that trauma into the relationships that he has because this is all he knows. It's kind of like if your mom gave you cucumber water when you 2 and your whole life you're gonna grow up and you're gonna drink cucumber water because that's what you know. So it's the same kind of idea that there are people who have this baggage that don't even know they have this baggage and then go into a relationship and be like, nah, I'm good. What you talking about? And it's the same cycle that they're living and they're not even conscious about that cycle that they're in.
But they know that they don't like it, but they still do it. And I think that's the part that always throws me. Like you come from a broken home, but because you've adapted to those behaviors, you don't even recognize you're carrying those same behaviors. Your mom blocks you in a conversation. So now your way of handling this conversation, since it's not going the way you like, is to block me because now you don't know how to have that conversation. Now you've been challenged and pushed in a way that you've never been before, and you don't know how to react. The way that you do know, which you've seen, is to just disconnect and run away. Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead. I'm done.
I don't feel like there's much to add because I feel like you answered it 100% correct. But I will drop some statistics, of course, right? So for men, it's best to be in a relationship with a woman, or it's best to be in a healthy relationship. According to the research, for men, being in a healthy relationship extends your life from 4 to 6 years. You're more financially stable. You are less likely to be diagnosed with a mental health disorder or physical health issue. The children that you produce will have a higher IQ and a higher emotional intelligence. So although I agree with Catherine with the idea that you should not be dumping and you should be aware of your trauma, however, a lot of times it requires a partner to help them notice that so they can go get the help. You're right, it is unfair to be dumping as much. And hopefully when someone does that and you're able to tell them, hey, I think you'd benefit from couples therapy or individual therapy, and due to the fact that they have this attachment with you and distrust with you, they are more than likely to engage. With the males that I see, 90% of them is due to their wife or their partner enticing them to go to therapy. So ladies, you guys play a vital part, as always, in the process of bettering our community.
That's so funny because that was what my next question. Couples therapy versus individual therapy. What goes first, the chicken or the egg?
You see, to me, I feel like there is a lot of misconception around that. I would say couples therapy, even though I do individual therapy, but I feel like if you have trauma, especially PTSD from your past, couples therapy has been shown to be more effective because you're processing it, but you also have a supportive partner there to help support you in that process. So if you were ever to get triggered in front of that individual or reprocessing it, that person that was in couples therapy with you has the tools and is more equipped to help you deal with it and to be present with you. While when you go to individual therapy and you're doing all of this work, but you're going back to an environment that may be a trigger. So if your partner is not equipped with the knowledge, the skills, or the mindset needed to help you sustain the progress, then in most cases, you're more likely to relapse, or you may not continue on the same path. So if you are in a relationship, if the issue is affecting the relationship, the answer is couples therapy, not individual therapy.
That's good to know. I've been to therapy before when I was married. I went
Mm-hmm.
one time with my ex-husband. I was just thinking about that as you were saying it. And
How was it?
I never went back. But it had nothing to do with the therapist. I'm telling you the truth. I swear to God, this is a true story. I went to therapy with my ex-husband, right? And this dude was like cheating on me. And I knew, and I caught him, and I knew. So there's nothing he could say. And we get to therapy, and I'm like, fine, I'll go, right? We got kids, we got a house, we got all these things. We got shit at stake here. I'll go. And I get to therapy, and he's like lying to the therapist.
Is he lying, or is he telling from his point of view?
No, he lying. He lying.
Okay.
So I left. I was just like, yo, if you're not gonna come into this
and be honest
and do it, like commit to why we're here, then why am I? He was like, you got to do it a couple times, bro. The truth is the water's wet. Shit stinks. The truth is the truth. I already know what you did. You already know what you did. We gonna work through this, or you gonna continue lying because you're wasting all our time. And that's pretty much what happened. Now I'm divorced.
Yeah, that actually happens a lot, believe it or not. So again, with some quick statistics, couples wait about 6 years too late before going to couples therapy. 6 years too late. It's usually when it's the last option, right? They've done something so horrible, they feel like the relationship is about to end. So let's try couples therapy. But the truth is they've already contacted a lawyer. They're 1 foot in and 1 foot out. So
I mean, you ain't lying.
Yeah. So during that mindset, couples therapy would not be effective whatsoever. At that point, if I was your therapist, I would be helping you guys to agree on what the separation and divorce is going to look like, right? Also, what was I going to say? So part of my training is that I do an individual session with each partner before doing couples therapy, and I have a thorough assessment. If you conducted an affair and you were not fully honest with your partner, then I can do couples therapy because you're lying and you're not being honest, you're not being transparent, so the healing could never take place. I also hold a specialization in affair recovery, meaning that if your relationship has suffered from an affair, I can hopefully with the appropriate trust, and if you still want to get back together, I can help through that process. So yeah.
Wow. So when do you think couples should go to therapy?
Now, if you are dating and you want to be with that person and you see a future with them, I always say play offense and not defense. Go there. Come to me. I'll teach you how to communicate, how to address conflict, how to improve your intimacy, how to deepen your friendship, how to create a culture of appreciation. A lot of us are born not knowing what it takes to be in a relationship, right? Before we have a career, we have to go to school, we have to earn all of these certifications. But before we drive a car, right, we got to take lessons, we need to take a test to get a license, and etc. But when it comes to matters of the heart, we just feel like we just know what to do, when that's like the biggest and the most impactful decision you will ever make in life. So I tell all couples, you're dating someone and you really see a future with them and you're invested, go to therapy now. Why wait?
I never thought about it like that, but yeah, that's pretty interesting. Come to think about it. And how do you have? So I want to go back to Catherine for a second, because I want to talk about like that intimacy portion with men, and just seeing how you've seen that play out. Is there a block in intimacy, you think? Like, because we have this exterior that has to be tough, is there a block in intimacy?
I think, I'm trying to think how I kind of want to explain my answer. Yes and no. I think subconsciously they're all trying to find that outlet and that like safe space, because I do believe with Black men and Black male children, there typically isn't that space growing up. And even being a biracial woman, I can't promise you I can think of so many spaces that I thought was safe when I was younger. Real quick tip hit on that, in doing a documentary and talking about the feedback of the documentary yesterday, I had essentially said to them, I was afraid to let my mother know I was a part of this documentary, but I wanted to share it with her so she can learn all the things I wasn't able to tell her that I experienced.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think when it comes to the intimacy, it's more so finding that safe space. And I do believe that's also how I created this platform, was being able to hold some spaces for those men that I did have in my life and learning the experiences they went through, learning their perspective on situations and growing the empathy for them, because it was like, wow, I don't know how I could wake up every day and have that thought or have that experience, or how would I be different with that? But then I also had my own experiences that made me different and has made my view of intimacy and like trust a little shaky. Like I sort of identified with males in that aspect where like you couldn't emotionally connect with me. Like I wasn't leading with my emotions first. I was protecting them with a stone wall because I didn't feel safe with certain people, or I just didn't want to lead with my heart on my sleeve because I need to protect that. I need to keep that like sacred. So I think it's more so like finding that safe space, but they all are essentially looking for it. And it's really them also understanding what is their level of intimacy as well as their partner's level of intimacy. Like everyone is different. So what could be intimate for you is not intimate for somebody else, and vice versa. And do you even understand what's intimate for yourself?
I'm gonna just add to, so I'm gonna ask you, Mac, too.
Yes.
What are some ways people can increase their communication and intimacy? What are some things they can do to create safe space?
Ooh, that's a loaded question.
I
In a
know.
perfect,
I feel like
in
people
the
know like little things right now that they could do to create space and have conversations with their partners, because you're a relationship person, but also with the other relationships in your life. You know what I mean?
Right.
We tend to put a lot of effort into just, my romantic relationship, but we have relationships with our sisters, our brothers, our aunts, our uncles, and we really need to kind of look at how we have those and they're still intimate, right? They're still intimate. They're not strangers. So how do we have those conversations? How do we create safe space in our homes and for our children and our partners?
Man, in a perfect world, I would love to say everywhere. But again, I always say the change also starts with us, right? Now we know better, we can do better. I have a daughter that's turning 1 years old, what in a few days, and I'm freaking out just with that idea. I'm like, oh my God, I have a toddler now, right? So to me, I would say one is educating ourselves and ensuring that we're having these type of platforms where we can talk about this. Secondly, I would say is for all of us to learn to be better listeners and to just listen and to create that space. But also before you doubt, also ask if that person has the mental capacity to even make space for you. And just continue the process of talking to one another, and especially for Black men, is just changing the narrative, changing the message. Like nowadays, I hug every Black man that approaches me. I'm not shaking your hands, I'm not giving you a dab. Not during COVID though, but pre-COVID, I'm hugging you, I'm telling you, yo, I love you, I appreciate you. My cousins, my nephews, whoever that is letting them know. Now in my inner circles and my family members, they call me the therapist. I'm not even Mac no more. Oh, the therapist is here. Watch what we're saying. If I go to the barber shop, oh my God, the therapist is here. Yo, Mac, this is happening to me. What do you think? Now I feel like the conversation is changing. We're having a greater impact, and we just need to ensure that we continue to grow that. And secondly, I would say to the ladies, be very careful. A lot of males out there have a fear of intimacy,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to start paying more attention to that. And you ladies need to be more aware so they can detect that early on, so they don't allow themselves to be too emotionally invested.
Can we talk about that a little bit more? Because I think we spend a lot of time talking about men and intimacy and maybe where they're taught to be intimate, not to be intimate, show feelings, show feelings. But can we flip it to the women real quick and just really talk about their impacts on their relationships and their expectations and how, because sometimes you got to realize like that other person is human too. And what you're asking from them is a lot. I don't know. I think there needs to be a space to have that conversation too, because we tend to be hard on the guys, like he doesn't have any feelings, he doesn't have any emotion. But if I'm a woman and I'm putting him in a space where he can't express his emotion, then I'm just as bad as everybody else. He's not going to come to me and even unload. He's going to be fearful to be vulnerable in that space. And so as women, we gotta have to be conscious of what we're putting into that relationship as well.
Agreed. Catherine?
I think it comes down to being very much so self-aware and, like you said, identifying your expectations. And not to say, like, I hate when people are like, well, if I remove expectations, I won't be disappointed. No, you'll still be disappointed because you still have an expectation. But it's also sort of being self-aware with your expectations and explicitly sharing your expectations and being more upfront and honest sooner, as well as mentioning like catching those red flags and identifying those red flags and knowing how to approach it and how to leave. I think one thing that I loved picking up from Mac was like paying attention to what verbiage you decide to use. Like, you always do this or you never do this, and now they're going to be dismissive of anything else that I have to say. I had learned that with the last situationship that I was in. I used a word to describe how he made me feel, and he flipped. And in listening to him flip, I was able to come back and be like, I don't think that was the correct word to use. I saw how offended you were off of that word. This is how I should have described it. This more so explains how you made me feel and how you were coming across during the situation. And me acknowledging that, it made him take a step down and say, thank you for saying that. With you, I try these things. With you, I do it differently. So for you to say that to me was like a slap in the face. Like, I'm outside of myself in dealing with you. And then you just like smack this label on me as if I'm not trying. Right. But for myself as well, having learned I should have picked up on those red flags or those things that weren't changing and I feel like women, we try to force things more. Like, we can make this work. We can make this work. We can make this work. And then we're putting that pressure on them because we want them to fit this perfect mold instead of identifying we're just not going to be there. And that's okay. We can leave each other's spaces in a more applicable way instead of it being dysfunctional, blowing up on our face, so dramatic. And when I say like being self-aware, I know for myself, I had to hear from those that I trust and love that I have a complex with control, whatever. And in the new situations, like keeping those words in my head, like don't lead with the way that you've been leading before, because what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Like, I also need to mend as well with traits that aren't ideal and making sure that I can identify that when I'm pursuing, when I'm in the beginning stages, to go about at least my point, my aspects differently and holding myself accountable and taking in these different tools that I've learned and try to practice them with anyone that I'm dealing with. And if it's not landing, I'm just not doing it with the right person.
Yeah, so I want to get into that real quick with you, Mac, too, because I do agree with Catherine. I tend to think women like someone a lot, and then they like them so much, they're like, well, I don't like this about them, but I'll just get them new clothes. I don't like this about them, but I'll just fix this. I just like this. And then the next thing you know, it's like you at Build-A-Man. You know what I mean? Because she'd rather force what she wants in her head, because it ain't even real, then you know what? It's okay. I like that. I've been out with someone who I was like, this is a really nice guy. It's just not my guy.
Correct. Being a nice guy is a prerequisite. That should be the standard, not the difference maker.
Mad cool people, just not my person. And I had to have that conversation with myself. But I don't think we often have that conversation with women or men. I think a lot of times we stay in these relationships that aren't healthy for us or dysfunctional or just not happy because you think you're supposed to, right? It's been 3 years, I'm supposed to make it work. Maybe at 3 years, we shed our skin a couple times. We're not the same people. And so how do we assess ourselves, Mac? And then how do we say, okay, this not working. Let's just move on.
So there's a lot there, as always, which is why these conversations are so fruitful. So I gotta pick my spots. So I would say the dating world is created by men for men. It was never created for women to succeed. It was created for men to do what men do and have to pick up the land. And that's a fact.
Mac is about to get exiled by the male community. They're going to be an uproar.
They don't like me.
Telling on us.
Most males, like when I do a workshop or when I give a speech, they're not a fan of me, and that's okay, right? And that's the reason why. The main reason why a lot of women are so overly attached to someone that should not be for them is because of the dating process, right? So for men, we multi-date. Women, they wait to be chosen as opposed to being the chooser themselves. Society created by men, led by men, have attached so much shame to women taking the lead and multi-dating, which is what males do themselves, to ensure that women did not have the upper hand. So a lot of times women need to start to multi-date. This way, if you have different options, when you see a red flag, you can remove that person because you have 4 more people that are entertaining you.
That's what I'm saying, Mac.
Right? But when you just have one person, you're gonna have blinders on because you're craving that attachment. So I tell women all the time, date as much as possible. And as you start seeing these red flags and these non-negotiables, you just remove them. So by the time you pick who it is that you want to be with, you are the one that chose them and they chose you, and you have a better understanding and a greater sense of assessment to determine this person can be committed, this person has the discipline necessary for a monogamous relationship, this person respects me, desires me, and has all of the skills that I'm looking for. So that's how women can change their fate of being in unhealthy relationships and having an anxious attachment style and continuously being part of that cycle of trauma that us Black men, yes, I'm talking to us Black men, have consistently created and have been the oppressors. And that's a fact.
Woo!
Pitchforks outside his door as we speak. And I am on the other side of the fence. Don't touch Mac.
The whole entire time you were talking, I'm like, we're not doing that no more. We're not doing that no more.
I was like, oh, I found my edges.
I don't want to be a pick me person. Like pick me. I don't want to be that. I just feel like my stock is really high and I got equity and shit. Like I just don't feel like I want to be, you know what I mean? Like maybe
as you should.
People, but me and my little bubble, I'm like, nah, the stock too high over here. I will not be the pick me. But I do understand where even in the approach of a man and a woman, like I will send a man a drink. I've done it. I bought a man a dinner just because I got a big dick energy. Like I don't know who the fuck I think I am. But
as you should. As you should.
I have paid for dates. I have sent drinks. I will slide in DMs. I don't, because that's just, but it took me a lot to get there. I'm 42 years old. It took me a lot to get there. If you would have asked me that in my 20s, I wouldn't do it. If you asked me that in my 30s, I'd be like, well, let me just say something cute and maybe he'll respond. You know, you ask me at 40, it's like, bro, like, you know, what we doing? You know, so I think the mindset is different, but there are a lot of women who are not confident in doing that. And so there's a lot of women who are not confident doing that. How do we create that space? And are men receptive to that?
Oh, may I, please?
Yes, all of you.
Please. I love everything you just said because that's the mental shift that needs to happen and be practiced so that women can have better relationships. I always tell a woman, if you walk into a club more than likely 5 guys are going to want to talk to you. 2 of them are directly gonna walk up to you and be extra smooth. 3 of them feel like they don't have the skill sets needed to approach you. The 2 that approach you are the 2 that you should not pay attention to, because they've been doing this for a while. They're comfortable in that scene. They're in their bag. The 3 that actually wants you is not as confident or not as cocky or doesn't have as much game. So which is why it's a woman's responsibility to ensure that they position themselves away so that these other 3 can find a way to also have a conversation with you. And the best way of doing that is by sending them a drink. If I send you a drink, then you know that I might be interested. Then
Right.
it's easier. Like, I feel like you did the heavy lifting for me, and I'm so happy because now I can approach you and be honest, as
Right.
opposed to before you're surrounded by your female friends, and it's not any type of guy that could walk into that field, right, and pull you up.
Right.
So everything you said is something that should be practiced. It's okay to find a way to get noticed and let the men know, hey, it's okay, you can talk to me. Actually, one quick last stat, right? Guys miss I believe, what was the stat? Guys miss the signs 10 times, meaning that if you just smile at me or give me a look, that's not enough. We're that dumb. We're gonna miss that sign. So you need to oversell it so that I can notice and be like, oh, you're talking to me. Yeah, okay, now I'm coming.
Right.
So being across the room and just I give him a look, he knows, not true.
Yeah.
I'm about to start tapping them and be like, this is me smiling.
As you should. As you should.
I just want to make sure you know that smile. Hey, that smile. Okay, I'm gonna walk away. I'm still gonna smile. It's for you.
I really believe that men are most attracted to confidence. I really do. Like, I really, really, really believe that. And I think the more confident, not confident to the point where you're like rude or obnoxious. That's not confident. That's rude and obnoxious. But confident women who are going to embody their presence and their space and take it up, and they can see that, and a man will gravitate to that. But I definitely think women too can say, well, oh my gosh, let me start a conversation, because it is intimidating for some men, some places, like, yo, you out with 6 women and I got to come over there and I only got about $45 left on my debit card. And you know what I mean? It's not the easiest space to always be in. And so I do think to some extent, no, do you have to ask him out on a date? No, but can you create a space so that he can have yes. Can you, set it up and shoot your shot and alley-oop the ball and, create that space for yourself so that you can allow yourself to have a conversation. Or you're right. What happens is we get stuck with the 2 guys that came over, and usually they're both arrogant sons of a bitch.
Yeah. This is what they do.
Yeah, that's crazy when you think about it, though. All right, Mac. I need a little bit more. I'm gonna let you go in a little bit, but I just have a couple more questions for you. So, if you was giving somebody dating advice, like me, what advice would you give? Do you think dating in your 20s is different from your 30s, different from your 40s? Like, how can I be best prepared? Do I take a list? Online they have a list where like women go to dates with like list of 40. I don't do it because I'm more like old school and chemistry and all that kind of stuff. But do I need a list? Do I got to manifest? What I got to do?
No, I mean, to me, like when I do talk to women about dating, most of the work focus on just switching their mindset and giving them dating skills and dating tips. An example would be if you do like a guy and you guys have been dating, how do you have the what are we conversation? Right?
Got it. Let's go, Mac. Let's go.
So usually it will be done out of a deficit as opposed to an abundance. Out of a deficit sounds, hey, I really like you and I want to be with you, right? I'm assuming most guys are gonna say, you know what, I'm not sure if that's what I want right now, or etc. And now you don't answer. You're like, okay, cool, but you continue to see them in the hopes that they're going to change their mind. Out of abundance, it's more like, hey, I like you. I do want to be with you. You know exactly what I wanted. Where do you stand? And it's the same answer again. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm ready for a relationship right now. I have a lot that I have to take care of. What you should say after that is that, you know what, I fully understand, and as you know, I am interested in you, and I'm seeking an exclusive relationship. So I'm going to exit. And if you do change your mind later on, you are free to contact me and let me know. However, just keep in mind that I may not be available then.
Woo!
Right?
I feel like, Mac, that's some big dick energy right there.
Right.
That is the abundance that we
Yes.
need. My whole life needs to be in that abundance space.
Yes. I am not an option.
I don't know
I
about
have options.
yeah.
Okay.
I have options.
Correct. Correct. If you don't see it in me and you don't want to be with me, that's fine.
Yeah.
Those are your feelings. But I promise you, I will be single for long, and you're gonna be missing out. Promise you. 2 days later, yo.
Whoa, I love it. I'm so here for it. I'm so here for it. You guys, thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Say It Loud. You have to come back. We have to do this again, guys.
Let's go.
We have to do it again. I think I'm gonna just to my listeners, I think I'm gonna invite Karyn and Mac back more regularly so we can have some more conversations on this, because I think there's a whole community of people that would enjoy just kind of taking all of this in and kind of like, you know, getting their energy in order. So Karyn, where can everybody find you?
If you're single and you're looking to explore being in a relationship, committed, exclusive relationship where you prep my meals weekly, you can find me at Retro Barbie 92. If you would like to gain resources around Black Men Cry 2, you can find me there at Black Men Cry 2, TOO, and you can see Mac there as season 2, episode 2 guest as well, where he drops even more knowledge, and he has some dope webinars coming up. And then when Outside opens, maybe we'll be outside together. And if anyone's single and you want to attend it as well, I'll be there. So I'll see you there. That's where you can find me.
For sure. Mac, where can everybody find you?
My IG is talk to Mac_therapist. Talk to the number 2 Mac MAC if you're looking for counseling. If you're a Black couple, you're in a relationship, you're about to get married, or you've been married and you just need some relationship skills, or you just want to do an assessment to find out the health of your relationship, you can visit therapyisforeveryone.org. That is my website. It has all of my resources. This is the only way that you can book me. And as Karyn has said, I just did a couples game night for Valentine's Day on building intimacy and friendship. I will also be doing Becoming a Masterful Couple Masterclass sometime in April. And when the Outside open, I have a workshop titled The Science of Communication Skills and the Aftermath of a Fight, which will be a 2-day event that's very interactive. It's very therapeutic. It's rooted specifically in science, not my opinions. I am not a relationship expert or nothing like that, but I am a guy that has garnered 3 certifications from the Gottman Institute and have access to their research. And I'm going to be bringing it to you and help you master those skill sets needed to function in a healthy relationship.
That's amazing. That's dope. So definitely go check them out, guys. Stay tuned for our Dropping Gems section. We'll be right back. So this is now our Dropping Gems section, and I'm back. Oh my God, you guys, I haven't recorded in so long because I've been sick. I've been in the hospital. I haven't been able to breathe. I'm having asthma, and I took some medicine and pull my shit together just so I could put this show on for you guys. I have been getting a lot of requests for me to go back to the old Say It Loud, where it's just like, Karyn, do your thing. So I'm going to be giving you guys more of that. If you haven't already, subscribe to my subscription, my premium content, where it's just me kicking it with y'all on Say It Louder. So it's $10 a month. You're just going to get more of everything. T-shirts, discounts. And I'm a little behind because, like I said, I was in the hospital, but we good. So this is Dropping Gems section. Shout out to Catherine of Black Men Cry Too. Shout out to Mac the therapist, who's been making his rounds and doing the therapy work. And guess what? Your Dropping Gems section is about therapy work. We grown, people. We grown. Like grown. I'm gonna hold somebody, grandma, y'all. We grown. If you above 32, you grown. You grown enough and you know right from wrong. And so if you are in a relationship and you feel like there needs to be work done there, then my call to action this week, my dropping gem this week, is to tell you to be responsible enough, to be mature enough, to be confident enough to speak to your partner and be like, yo, you know what? I love you. You love me. This is our relationship. And it doesn't have to be with a romantic relationship. It could be with your mom, your dad, your auntie, your cousin, whoever it is in your life that you want to do that work with, and step out in faith and get that work done. Because there's not enough of that. And if you really, really are in a relationship or in somewhere where you're in a relationship with someone where you need to have those tough discussions, where you need to do that work, where you need to understand each other better, then you need to say, you know what, I don't know how to fix this by myself. And that's okay. You know, I tell people all the time, when your heart hurts, you go to a cardiologist. When your foot hurts, you go to a podiatrist. When your soul hurts, you need to go to therapy. You know, and you need to do the work to that goes there. And sometimes we think that relationships are just supposed to work. It's just supposed to work with my mommy. It's just supposed to work with my daddy. It's just supposed to work with my kids. It's just supposed to work with whoever I love. Why is that not enough? And the reality is that we're all different people, that we all grow, that we have different ages and stages in life, and that we need to learn how to deal with those ages and stages with each other the way we need to. And sometimes there might be a bump in the road. And if someone can help you with that, then do not be too proud where you can't get that help, where you can't say, this is what I need to do because I want to have a better relationship with this person, whoever they might be, for whatever reason. So that is my drop in gem section. You know what I mean? I think that is a whole big dick energy to be able to say, you know what? This is not how I want to see this relationship with you. This is not how I want this to go. Let me make an effort to try to fix it and change it. That is big dick energy. To be bigger than the problem and say, you know what, I'm going to be bigger and better than it, than just leaving it the way it is and assuming that you can fix everything on your own. We can't always fix everything, right? And some things don't need fixing. Some things we cannot fix. And some things we can put the effort in. And so, you know, that's all I want to share with you in your dropping gem section. I can't talk too much, guys. I will be going back to the old format where I just kick it with y'all and tell y'all jokes because apparently y'all like that shit. Again, shout out to my guests this week. I love them. We'll be putting on a show and going live to you as soon as the world open back up. So I'm looking forward to that. Check out Manscaped. Dropping Gem section, as always, is brought to you by Manscaped. Check them out. Use my code 20% off. Shout out to She Orgasms. If you're not having your orgasms, y'all are bugging. Definitely check her out. Get your coupon. Get your 20% off your supplements. I'm trying to go through all my sponsors real quick. Female Rituals. If you haven't steamed your yoni, I don't know what you're waiting for. I tried it. I love it. I steam my yoni very regularly. It's like a facial because I steam my face regularly. So I steam my yoni too. It's like a facial for your pum pum. It's cool though. It's cool. I like it. I take my iPad. I drink some tea. You know, throw on some Sade, burn an incense. It be popping in here. And that's what you gotta do when you ain't got no man, I guess. So definitely check that out. What else? Who else we got? Oh, Blue Royal. Check them out. Momentum. Oh my God. I used it. I used Momentum. You guys, I did. And, I was blown away. So yeah, I have my own. So check out, Dr. Dre and Momentum. I'm actually going to go down to Atlanta and hang out with him at the factory where they do that and bring that to you on my YouTube channel. So, that is coming to you in June as soon as I get my second, dose of COVID, vaccine. And I'm, you know, can travel without being fearful of getting sick. So check out all the sponsorships. If you have not done so already, I'm gonna plug my damn self. Check out Say If Sexy. I did a podcast, for those that don't know, called What's in Your Hoe Bag. And then I needed shit to put in the whole bag. And so, I got my sponsor, as you know, Sweet Vibration, who is my original sponsor, my very first sponsor of Saith Loud to now partner with me, and I'm selling Sweet Vibration products in the Saith Loud boutique, Say Sexy boutique. So definitely check that out. It is lingerie. It is primarily gifting. But you can, buy whatever you want for yourself, or you can give a gift. There's a couple things for men, mostly for women. I'm growing the collection. But it's really just to really empower people and make them feel good and sexy and loved and have a good time and laugh with ourselves and give our kids Benadryl and let them go to bed. I'm kidding. They have melatonin for that. So yeah, happy Friday, Tuesday. I know I'm a little bit late. I'm going to get back on my schedule. But like I said, your girl been going through it. But I did this and I didn't cough once. And yeah, I love y'all. Thank you to all my supporters, everybody who reached out while I was in the hospital. I appreciate you. Send flowers, send gift cards, all of that kind of stuff. I appreciate all of you. I'm getting better. I'm really excited about that. I'm looking at life differently. I check my oxygen a lot. No, I didn't have COVID. I just got a lung that just, it was like, fuck it. Yeah, so that's that. But thank you all. Catch up with me. I'll be booking again soon once I'm healing and feeling a little bit better. But until then, I'm just going to keep bringing y'all the fuckery. All right. I think that's about it for today, y'all. We out.
Hit me. Yeah. Please be clear, we are popping it off. Flex your fingers. And type up www.sayitloud.com now. And stay in tune with everything. Karyn Elle is on the World Wide Web.